After I saved my mother from being burned alive, that started a war between the vampires and the humans, and while I did give every vampire the ability to walk in the daylight, I didn't give every vampire true immortality like I did for me and my family. Along with all those I loved, for the first time in vampires' existence, they got to experience true freedom, and the vampire race in my country even revered me as a god, and they are right, and since I didn't deny it and I even confirmed it, they all believed that I was the god of their world. After I gave every regular vampire the ability to walk in the sun permanently without burning alive or dying. All vampires are now day walkers, so it was now easier for them to enslave the entire human race, and the vampires were winning, and my father Dracula Tepish had gotten his revenge. Unlike the original storyline, vampires didn't want to kill the human race, instead they were enslaved, and many were forced to do whatever vampires wanted, no matter how perverted. And I was now making love to my wife Carmilla, and she's now having sex with me, riding my large 12-inch member in the cowgirl position, and I moaned loudly and I said loudly, "Oh my love, I'm going to come," and Carmilla said, "Fuck yes, get me pregnant again, darling," and then I said, "Yes ma'am," and then I began thrusting her faster from the bottom in the cowgirl position, and then I came inside her vagina, and then I continued to make love to Carmilla in every sexual position like usual, and then right after I screwed her in the butthole and I came inside her again, she finally bit into my neck, gently drinking my blood, and I always allowed this so she didn't bite me anywhere else, and then right after that she started sucking my penis again, and then I came in her mouth, and then she showed me she swallowed all my cum, and I continued having sex with her a lot longer, and Carmilla said loudly, "Oh darling, I fucking love you. Oh fuck me baby. Yes, make me feel good," Carmilla said loudly, and then right after all that I fell asleep with Carmilla, and I spooned her and I held her gently around her waist while she was sleeping again, and I always did this with all my wives, and Carmilla and her sisters never had any problems with enslaving humans. In fact, in the original storyline, that's what they wanted partly anyways. So when all the vampires started enslaving all of humanity and killing most vampire slayers that got in their way, Carmilla and her sisters were very happy to receive the first enslaved human livestock, and one thing I made sure of is that now vampires on our planet could now heal humans with our blood. As long as they are alive, any human can be healed with our blood, and that includes all vampires. A vampire's blood in our world can heal any injuries incredibly fast thanks to the powers I gave the vampires of our world. The vampires of my family and even my children could no longer be killed by ordinary means. Since me and my family now have true immortality, we can even fly to other universes in search of new worlds and new Earths, and I even made 2 new Earths just in case we ever need to leave Earth for whatever reason. And then one day when me and my wife along with my father and mother were walking along the road, I saw a familiar face. I saw Trevor Belmont, and I even saw him walk into a bar, and I said, "Mother and father, you go on ahead, me and Carmilla are going to go into a bar, I want to buy my wife a drink." And then my father Dracula Tepish said, "That's actually a great idea son, you know what, me and my mother want to join you." And then we all walked into the bar right after Trevor Belmont sat down, and we watched everything happen, and my father Dracula Tepish couldn't help but smile and even laugh while he watched Trevor Belmont beat up a bunch of people in the bar. Even the human bar owner was beat up, but then eventually we all saw the symbol of Belmonts on his jacket, and then my father along with the rest of my family stood up because the Belmonts killed a lot of regular day walking vampires, so many in fact that it pissed off my father and my wife Carmilla along with her sisters. So vampires hate the Belmonts, but my father also admired them a lot and respected them, so he just stood there and stayed out of the way, and him and the rest of my family didn't get involved. However, I could see that my wife Carmilla was shaking with anger so bad I thought she was going to attack Trevor Belmont, and then I said, "Don't do anything to him, he's no threat against us, and all the Belmonts are nearly extinct thanks to the church of maniacs they once served." And then Trevor Belmont looked at me and he said, "You got a problem, pretty boy? Want some too?" And then I said, "No sir, we are just humble travelers, we just came here for a drink, that's all, we don't want any trouble and we don't want to fight you." And then Trevor Belmont said, "You look a bit familiar, do I know you from somewhere?" And then I said, "No, you don't know me because me and your family never met."